Thank you for joining tonight. I have wanted to take part in a science slam since my first year here, and it's finally happening, so yay! I'm from Kolkata, India. It's one of the bigger cities in India. It is on the eastern part. I studied biotechnology for my undergrad. So biotechnology is using biological processes in industries or pharmaceuticals, like making beer or insulin. I'm currently a PhD candidate in biological sciences. And today, as my title suggests, I want to talk about how and why I'm here. Does anyone know the scientist Nico Tinbergen? You might have heard of him. Nico Tinbergen, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, studied animal behavior. In the 1960s, he outlined some questions that can be asked when you are studying animal behavior. There are the how, or the proximate questions, and then there are the why, or the ultimate questions. So an example of a proximate question would be, how does an animal develop a behavior over its lifetime? And then a why question would be, why does an animal behave in a certain way? So today, we can dissect some of my behavior to understand why and how I am here. To elaborate, I am studying the animal behavior of arachnids, specifically communication in these two kinds of arachnids, wolf spider and then camel spiders. So can anyone think of a few ways that we communicate? Like humans, we have our 5 different sense organs to communicate. Arachnids use different modes to communicate as well. They can use their eyes to see things, they can feel vibration, they can sense chemicals and also sound. There are different kinds of sounds, and the one that I am focusing on is called near field sound. So this is basically air particle vibration very close to the sound source. Now, I want to know if they use the information that they perceive via near-field sound in their mate choice decision for the wolf spiders. They have these long sensory hairs called trichobothria with which they perceive near-field sound. And then this other kind of arachnids called solifuges or camel spider. They're not real spiders. They're not true spiders, so they don't have trichobothria like true spiders. But they have long sensory hairs as well. So for these animals, I want to know if they can feel near-field sound at all. But remember I said that I studied biotechnology in my undergrad? So how did I end up here and why? To find answers, I will give you a little context on how I grew up. I was a very shy city kid who mainly interacted with books, did well in school, and never really failed in anything. And that was a very important character trait. And failing gives me the jitters all the time. My whole family and extended family studied science, specifically related to the medical profession, and it was expected that I, as the youngest in the family, would go on to become a doctor. In India, you take an entrance exam right after high school to become a doctor. But as I was preparing to take the entrance exam, I realized that I did not want to be a doctor and all the responsibilities that come with it. And to my father's dismay, I did not do well on the required exams at all and chose to study biotechnology that combined my interests in math and biology. And this decision I took without consulting anyone. So that was a big decision for me. But to be fair, I was looking for the closest thing to being a doctor without the responsibility of another person's life. Since this was my own decision and I had to prove that I made the right one, I snowballed with it. I loved molecular biology and related classes and chose to enroll. After graduating undergrad, I chose to enroll in a molecular biology graduate program, thinking I will cure all diseases, completely ignoring one of the best internships that I did. It was the summer after my second year of college at a university in India, which was very far away from where I grew up. So it was still in India, but this was the first time I was staying away from home for an extended period of time. I studied a different kind of arachnid there called mites and how they interacted with these plants that were present in the university botanical garden. And it was one of the best times that I had. I had a wonderful, encouraging advisor. It was so productive that I ended up publishing my first author paper. And it is the only one till now. But after that, in my last 2 years of college, I gave into the elitist view that applied science is better than basic science, and decided that studying molecular biology without stopping to think what I actually wanted. And I went along with it for 2 years and only stopped to think about a year and a half ago. And that was probably the time that I hated science or came very close to it. I was in a molecular biology lab studying viruses, and none of my experiments worked. And this is not all that uncommon in the world of scientific research, but what I noticed about myself is that I did not want to do it anymore. I did not want to be in the lab all the time, and I did not want to keep doing PCR and gel electrophoresis. No offense to any researchers who love doing PCR and gel electrophoresis. Yet for a while, I thought that I had to stick to it because failure is not an option. My motivation dwindled, and as I felt myself give up with each passing day, and I thought I hated science. So instead of understanding that my passions might lie somewhere else, I deemed myself a failure, and I guess it is easy to hate the cause of your failure or have negative emotions about it. And at that point, the only thing I could make myself do to feel better was read interesting research from other labs. And I was reading papers that had nothing to do with viruses, and it felt refreshing. I remembered back to my internship days at that university with the mites, where I enjoyed my work, and investigated professors at UNL in my department who were working with animals. And then I did something very hard for graduate students to do, but it is kind of a no-brainer, which is I asked for help. I talked to a bunch of different people, I considered my options, and I found a great advisor, and my life took a turn. I love working with animals, and just with no other motive than just to understand them. And I like the creative side too, the fact that anything can be my research equipment. Plexiglass, research equipment. Dishwasher sponge, research equipment. Cheesecloth, acrylic paint, granite slabs, all my research equipment. If I want a specific experimental setup, I can just make it and not wait for a company to make a sterile version of that. I am inspired to make art as well with my subject of research. And I've been writing some blogs as well. And while I do not know what I specifically want to do when I graduate, I definitely want to spread my enthusiasm for science, just for the science itself. And at the end of the day, I think it is okay to choose to just be happy and fulfill your curiosity and itch to learn without thinking of what you will do for the greater good. It might sound like a lot of justification, but these are things I have to tell myself quite often to calm my anxious brain. But I'm getting more comfortable with my choices and staying happier too. So to summarize and answer how and why I'm here by trial and error, and I'm here to enjoy what I'm doing. So don't be afraid to make unconventional choices for yourself. Thank you.